Hello, dear Sangha. I hope that everyone is doing well on their path. I have the opportunity to share here on YouTube uh, a little bit of an update about my practice and what's going on. Uh, it's been about 1 month stepping away from teaching and facilitating, organizing Sangha online and all forms of social media. And it's very nourishing for me to take that time and to be able to stay with some other monks at a monastery for these 3 months and practice meditation seriously, study the Dhamma, take refuge in the path. Uh, I've really been blessed that Sayadaw Otamatara, my teacher, founder of Tabarwa, has come to America to lead some retreats for about 2 weeks in California. And the monastery that I've been staying at has given me permission to come and support my teacher in Tabarwa during this time. So about 2 weeks to come out of the personal practice period and to share more uh, with the people who will be joining the retreats that my teacher is leading. And it's a really precious time for me because uh, getting to connect the dots with my internal and external practice and the Asian Buddhism and the Western Buddhism inside of myself coming together to hopefully be, a better practitioner and to get more success in this path. And my wish for everyone who is following me and concerned with the teachings of the Buddha and whatever teachings I'm able to convey is that uh, you too and we all will be able to have um, more and more success, unexpected development, and permanent changing in terms of our mental health, our, our heart, our mind, to see more clearly, to be more free, and to have an avenue and a stronger and stronger access point to really take refuge in this path. And the path here is not about any religion, not about any belief system or any person in particular, but it's a path of realizing, coming home to, remembering freedom. The excellence of freedom, the excellence of peaceful abiding in transformation of suffering. This year marks more than 10 years for me being a Buddhist practitioner, someone who came across Buddhism and meditation and devoted a good time of my energy and attention to that, finding out what that was and how that could help me to heal myself and to know about the truth within me. And this year marks 6 years as a Buddhist monk, 6 years living as a monastic. But what I come back to and what I take refuge in is not all these experiences that I've had or all of the benefits that I've got from doing meditation retreats and following teachers and taking refuge more and more in the Dharma, the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings leading to the end of suffering. It's a moment by moment recognition of impermanence. It's a moment by moment taking refuge in the freedom of this moment as it already is. Taking refuge in that which is not someone, not about someone. Taking refuge in that which is not a thing, not an idea, not an object, not a subject, not something that is separate, not something to get, not something to chase after, but a remembering, a coming home to remembering the alreadiness of this everythingness. It is a fearlessness, an openness, a willingness to embracing the alreadiness of this moment as it is. Whatever arises, whatever passes away, it's not about that thing, not about that idea, not about that experience, but the mindfulness that has within it detachment, the mindfulness of and with freedom that doesn't get stuck, that doesn't get trapped, that the sticking points, the suffering points, the anxiety point, the depression point, the fear point is the releasing point, is the freedom point, is the pointless point. And, you know, as a Western person, and speaking on behalf of the Western people that I've had experience with, there's not much interest in being religious. There's not much interest in being a Buddhist or being a monk in general. Of course, there's some. But it seems to me that what a lot of people are looking for, and also what I'm looking for, is to take refuge in a way, in a path that is reliable, that is freedom, that leads to freedom, that comes from freedom. And I call that Buddhism. but it doesn't have a name. It's not a thing. In daily life, you will surely find yourself to be taking refuge in a lot of different let's say things, for lack of a better word. Taking refuge in tasty food, taking refuge in YouTube videos, taking refuge in TikTok videos, taking refuge in sexual experiences, taking refuge in frustration, taking refuge in anger, taking refuge in arguing and being right and someone else being wrong. And this habit energy or this way of doing things doesn't belong to you. It doesn't originate from you personally. Rather, it's a kind of continuation of your ancestors, or a continuation of habit energy, or a continuation of cause and effect. And your capacity to be aware of that and to be aware of what's going on rather than to just be tumbling down the hill of the goings on means that you have accumulated many blessings in previous lives, in previous moments. And because of those blessings, you have a capacity to be mindful. You have a capacity to come into contact with the Dhamma, to come into contact with the path leading away from suffering, leading to an end of suffering rather than leading to the perpetuation of it. So it's a really good quality of mind when we think about Buddhism or meditation or the different Dhamma teachers or living a virtuous life. It can be a heavy burden to pick that up, especially at the beginning. Really heavy, really difficult. So you may find it very helpful to bring up this quality of gratitude in awareness. Gratitude for this mental state, gratitude for this physical state, gratitude for this awareness of cause and effect. And in meditation, we're actually practicing and learning how to, and training ourselves in a way to generate wholesome states of mind, to generate happiness, to generate, for really skillful, serenity, and to generate gratitude. And there's a special kind of gratitude that isn't about our possessions, our milkshakes or our nice clothes, our nice things. Maybe that's a starting point for the gratitude, but a gratitude pertaining to awareness of suffering. Because that awareness of suffering allows for the development of compassion, of that profound and wholesome and reverent wish for that suffering to end. This is a certain power we can develop, this power of compassion, and this remembering of the power of compassion. That yes, you are aware of suffering, you're aware of your mental illness, you're aware of your anxiety, your depression, you're aware of the difficult things in life, and we can go on in a carousel of complicated thinking to manage that and figure it out, to avoid it, to fix it, whatever that may be. But beyond that, above that, is this simple and vital wish, and the energy of that wish for this suffering to end. May it end. May this suffering end. May your suffering end. May the suffering of all beings end. And I find that this quality of mind, this beautiful, rich, dynamic, useful, essential quality of mind, this compassion, this awareness of suffering, and this following through with a wish for that suffering to end, right? This energy of mind, may it end. May this suffering end. May my anxiety end. May my depression end. May these mental formations end. It's a real motivator and it's a real guiding principle for what we take refuge in. And you may want to bring up the question for yourself. What am I taking refuge in? What am I relying upon? What am I looking towards? What am I aiming towards in my life, in my daily activities? With how I think, with how I speak, with how I act, with how I view others. What am I geared towards? And I'm asking that question to myself. And I'm sharing this path and this practice so that you too, whoever you are, may be able to get benefit and transformation in the way that I have from being a way seeker. Being someone who wishes for that suffering to end and sees and knows that the suffering ending is the most important thing in my life. It's more important than food. It's more important than sleep. It's more important than alcohol or boyfriends or girlfriends. It's more important than having followers, having people look up to me. Certainly more important than having people to look down on me. We can't really say, oh, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes, or I'm going to meditation class, or I meditate 3 hours a day. It's a little bit tricky. This life is meditation. And this way of meditation is an opening to change. An opening to the ever-changing nature of the body, the mind, the environment. Opening to that, willing to feel that which may be difficult, willing to face difficulty, willing to be with difficulty, willing to take bitter medicine when there's candy on the table. How do we meditate? How do we practice meditation? Well, we stop and we open to the ever-changing nature of everything. Everything, everything, everything. Open to stopping and open to the ever-changing nature of everything. If we put our meditation in a box or put our meditation in an app, it's not really going to work because your life isn't in an app. Your life isn't in time. Life doesn't exist in time. Awareness doesn't exist in time. Life isn't about time. Life isn't on a schedule. Life doesn't have progress. Everything is changing. The more that we open to that nature of changing, the more healing that will take place, the more insight that will be revealed, not gaining. We're not trying to gain anything. We're not trying to get anything. That's just competition and confusion. How can I get more wisdom? How can I get more healing? How can I get better at meditation? There's no fixed point that can get better at anything. The only fixed point is changing. And what's beyond a fixed point of changing is not describable, not comprehensible, not conceptual, not cognitive, not intellectual. There's no duality in it. So if we put our practice into this dualistic approach where we're trying to get something, we're trying to change ourselves in a certain way, we're trying to become meditation bodybuilders or virtue bodybuilders, you won't be able to access that power, the wisdom power that is within you already. You just have to put down the schedule, put down the clock, put down the time, put down the seeking, stop and open to everything, and be willing to experience the everythingness that is already revealed continuously, that dissolves anxiety, that dissolves depression, that dissolves mental formations already without effort or management. And when we return to this way, it is a revival of freedom. It is a revival of remembering immediately who we truly are, where we truly are, what's truly happening, which is not something, not someone, not some place, no separation, no discrimination. non-discriminatory awareness is wisdom. And what could be more accessible than non-discrimination? The Buddha taught like this: in what is felt, there is only what is felt. In what is heard, there is only what is heard. In what is seen, there is only what is seen. Breathing in, there is just breathing in. Okay. Uh, this human life is rare and precious. It's extraordinary. The intelligence that we have access to, our capacities to feed, to nurture, to help, to support, to cooperate, to give, to share, to offer care. Gives us this chance not only to make use of the suffering within ourselves, to inspire us and to drive us and to encourage us to go deeper and deeper into this way, but also to make use of the others, to empathize with them, to see that within their heart, they also want to help themselves and others. They also want to be at peace. They also want to be happy. They also want a good chance at being loved, at being helped. So we can make use of all this to support ourselves, to support each other, to build community, to take refuge in the way, to take refuge in this capacity that we have, that you have, that I have, to be generous. This capacity that you have, that I have, to be virtuous. There's nothing more wonderful, there's nothing more desirable, there's nothing more interesting than living a virtuous life. To being a truly good person. To be awake, to be aware, to remember who we truly are, and to gain the capacity to open this wisdom to benefit not just ourselves and our lives, physical lives, mental lives, emotional lives, but to benefit this earth, to benefit the children, to benefit the single mothers, to benefit the people in need. To benefit those people that have to choose between suicide and a life of complete mental suffering. The more that you and the more that I can take refuge in the opportunity for generosity and take refuge in the opportunity for being virtuous and take refuge in the opportunity for being mindful and take refuge in the opportunity to look deeply, to listen deeply. The change that will happen, that is happening, it is so much bigger than our anxiety, our depression, this psychosphere that we find in our country and in the world. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Dear Sangha,